Hey everyone, welcome back. We are Somatic Wisdom and the Ethereal Soul, and we're glad you're here. We are doing a series right now, apparently, on paralysis. My name is Valencia Borzoni Scott, and we are an embodiment education channel. And today I am following up with a recent video I did on paralysis and polio. And occasionally I do case studies. Right now I'm actually heavily into case studies. There's been some really interesting things coming my way, and I had my own little run-in with an eye infection last week, which is much better. And so I really love looking at the body, what's happening with the body, my body, other people's bodies, if they have a case study they want me to look at, or information I come across as I'm on social media or talking with other people or looking at health conditions, all kinds of stuff. Massage and Bodywork magazines are always talking about medical conditions, and I'm fascinated with looking at the body-mind connection. Quite often some of those things get missed, not always in the massage magazine. Occasionally there are some things in there about that, but you know, we're a science-backed based field in massage and bodywork. We certainly do find that the pathology of medical conditions is very important when we're talking about providing massage and bodywork to clients. It's just something that needs to be considered always. Certainly I wouldn't work on someone with a medical condition that is in a heightened state. Certainly could cause more systemic problems for them. Anything that's contagious is definitely avoided. Inflammatory conditions, if they're in a heightened state, we avoid that. There's lots of different things that we need to take into consideration as body workers and massage therapists. So science and research and looking at the pathology of medical conditions in the body, where sometimes massage and body work is very beneficial for you know, bringing down, dialing down the nervous system, getting the body back into a relaxed state, a state of homeostasis. And other times it's contraindicated. You know, it means we can't do massage and body work even though we want to. We might be able to do some energy work, Reiki or craniosacral therapy. Nigongi Lao is an abdominal organ-based energy healing work, Jinshin, AcuTouch. There are lots of different energy practices that we can utilize for those times when a traditional massage might be contraindicated. So, you know, I'm fascinated by science research. All of those things are very important. But I really love the body-mind stuff. That is where the juicy bits lie. So recently I met someone with Myasthenia Gravis, and as I was doing this video on polio, because that was actually the medical condition that had come up a couple of weeks ago, and it is a form of paralysis, and it is a condition that is transmitted through a virus. Through food or water, dirty food, dirty water, contaminated, or contact with an infected person. But I wanted to look at polio a little bit more closely from a body-mind connection, just to see what it had to say. So again, there's the science aspect of it, that it is a virus. And I wanted to see what the body-mind connection piece was. Well, there was paralysis, right? It's a limb paralysis or a full body paralysis that leads to needing to be placed in an iron lung. Polio doesn't happen very often anymore in certain places. We have vaccines. But I became more curious about the paralysis aspect, so I started to look at that a little bit more. And of course I'm using Michael J. Lincoln's book, Messages from the Body. This is the book that I use. It's a pretty significant tome, over 700 pages. There's quite a bit here. It's definitely a a body-mind book on steroids compared to Louise Hay's Heal Your Body book, which is very thin and very simple. But this goes into much, much more detail. And while it can be very informative, it can also be a little overwhelming. And I think I may have bitten off more than I can chew. So we're going to have to do this in bits. So let me go back over here to the beginning, Myasthenia gravis. I will tell you that the person I met that has this condition gave me a few symptoms, some droopy eyelids, some double vision, some trouble swallowing, definitely trouble talking and walking, so they're no longer able to drive, things like that. It is a muscle paralysis, and it does affect certain areas of the body. So what the web says, just in general, I did not go to WebMD, I did not go to the Mayo Clinic, I did not go to Johns Hopkins. I just wanted a basic, what are you going to tell me, Google? It's chronic, it's neuromuscular and autoimmune. There is a version that is genetic, and they call it congenital myasthenia. It's muscular weakness, mostly in the eyes, face, swallowing, leads to double vision. Drooping eyelids is also another side effect or symptom. Difficulty talking and walking, head and neck weakness. And I do recall that the person I was talking with did have some inability to hold their head up at some period when it was probably just being diagnosed. There's also a respiratory component. This can, at an advanced, I think, stage, the web does show a classification list, which, you know, she was pretty clear that that's kind of bogus, because you can have a good day and you can have a bad day. But that can lead to the need for intubation. And there's also a component of the thymus gland. So I'm going to read what Michael J. Lincoln has written about MG, which is the abbreviation for myasthenia gravis. MG. He has a very reductionist focus on this. He really is only focused on drooping eyelids. That's it. And I didn't break it down to the right eyelid drooping and the left eyelid drooping. I think we can go there, but I think what's going to need to happen is that now that I've started this, looking at this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these particular symptoms, much like I'm going to do with Ehlers-Danlos, and I'm going to look at these in Michael J. Lincoln's book, and then we're going to get a deeper understanding of what could be happening here. Now, I've talked with this person, and they've given me some pretty detailed personal information, which I won't share, but I'm going to guess that some of this is going to match up based on what I was told, what I was given. Literally in the first 45 minutes that we chatted, there were some big reveals happening for both of us. You know, so that tells me that this person is amazing. I needed to meet this person. This person felt like they needed to meet me. They gave me a copy of their book autographed personally for me, and we clearly have some work to do. So I'm very excited about that and looking forward to that. So I'm not going to identify who that person is, but I am very interested in learning a little bit more about the body-mind connection with myasthenia gravis. This is the first time I am coming across this. So let's look at what Mr. Lincoln has to say. And again, he's focused on one part of the body, drooping eyelids. That's it. Now, this person was diagnosed in 2021. We know 2021 was the into moving into the second year of the pandemic, COVID-19. And he says, resignation, apathy. Choices lead to no effect or worse conditions. No effect or worse conditions, personal or worldwide. There is a systemic self-defeatingness reflecting an underlying sense of worthlessness and undeservingness of love. Here's another fine mess I've gotten myself into: severe grief and self-distrust pattern, fearful, change, evolution, and transformation avoidant, with a pronounced propensity to hide underlying depression with projection of cheerfulness, tendency to want to give up and forget the whole thing. Family, rejecting, wrong-making parenting, an implacably dysfunctional family where the child/person was unable to make any difference indeed. Real brief, the right eyelid drooping is world weary, and left eyelid drooping is bite the bullet. So that's what Michael J. Lincoln has to say about myasthenia gravis. Now, this book was written and released in 2006. I don't know if there's an updated version. I know that he has since passed away. I am going to, not today, but look through his book again for some more detailed information about these other symptoms and what they potentially have to say about what could be connected to myasthenia gravis. The paralysis, again, the video on polio paralysis is already up on YouTube, so please check that out, because clearly there is some type of psychological link between paralysis and the paralysis experienced in myasthenia gravis. The swallowing, the eyes, the inability to talk, the reduced mobility in walking. Certainly that was apparent in the paralysis diagnosis, the inability to advance, which is a developmental posture: laying down, sitting, standing, and walking. Those four postures are the postures that we use in the work that I do, SEMA, Somatic Inquiry, Integration Through Movement and Art. And we use those four postures because in a normative context, they are developmental postures that children go through. And if there's any kind of disruption to that natural progression, what would be considered a natural progression, that can lead to developmental deficits. And so, it's all connected. Some of it's very nuanced, some of it's very obvious, but, it's important for me right now. This is important work. And being a nanny right now gives me an opportunity to watch this child develop and grow, transform from laying down to rolling over and to crawling, which is such an amazing feat of the body, and this natural, I want to do this, I want to crawl, and this kind of army crawl along the floor to getting up on all fours and like into these incredible, they're basically yoga postures, these asanas. And it's really just fantastic. The downward dog that he does is pretty impressive considering he's not walking. And and then he looks between his legs, and there I am with my head underneath on the mat, just kind of looking at him. But all of this is very much connected, and that is why this channel was established. That is why I published my book, Chasing Shade, Living with Developmental Trauma, because a lot of my postural developmental stages were a little bit disrupted. And that is cultural, that was trauma related. It created more trauma for me. And, there were some very interesting revelations that I had regarding a recent eye infection. And that video is also up under STI, eye infection, a case study. So Myasthenia gravis, also called MG, often referred to in the medical community as the snowflake disease disorder, because no case is the same. Each case is very different from the one previous. It's a little like autism. If you've met one person with autism, you have met one person with autism, and apparently the same stands for MG, myasthenia gravis. If you've met one person with MG, you've met one person with MG. So now this person is 2 years, almost 3 years now into this diagnosis, and is using a very beautiful, positive imagery protocol to work with MG. And what I find magical about that is that imagination, art therapy, all of our creative right hemisphere organized tools and resources cross the hemispheres and can help assist in recovery from many things. In my book, I talk more about the connections between the brain systems that are impacted by trauma and the brain systems that are impacted by movement and art. And the number is pretty high for the brain systems that you can tap into with movement and art. Almost all of the brain systems that are impacted in trauma development and formation, you can reach almost every single one through movement and art. And so to me, that kind of healing mechanism is so important. It's not a drug, it's not a pharmaceutical, you don't need to go to counseling every week. These are brain systems that you have access to in a normative context. And so, and that is why the movement piece, these developmental postures of laying down, sitting, standing, and walking are so important because they're self-driven. We cultivate our own self-awareness, our gut instincts, and we start listening to our body with more compassion, more understanding, and trusting that as a resource, building and building and building a stronger, more bonded, more nourishing and nurturing relationship with our body, so that we always have that as a resource, because guess what? No matter where we go, we are in our body. So, which is probably why I wasn't able to get into the dance movement therapy training program, because it's all dance and movement, dance training. You have to have that background to get in there. So, thank you for joining me this evening, and I'm looking forward to, or today, or whenever it is that you're watching this video, but I am looking forward to doing more research on myasthenia gravis and posting more videos about what Michael J. Lincoln has to say in his book, Messages from the Body, regarding some of the symptomology. And I'll be doing the same thing with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, because that is not in his book at all. If you have a medical condition, or if you know of someone close to you with a medical condition that you would like me to do a case study on, please email me at etherealsoul2003@gmail.com. and provide any kind of container around that you want. If you'd like me to do a video and post it, if you would like me to do a video and send it to you, if you would like to have a conversation, if you would like a treatment protocol, if you would like to have your family or friend have a treatment protocol. These are all conversations that we can have, and doing more research into the body-mind connection at such a deep level. I mean, this book is really just very exciting for someone like me who is fascinated by the body-mind connection. I cannot tell you, the minute I read Ken Dykewald's book, Body Mind, I was hooked. And that was 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago, when I started my bodywork career and training, 2003. So 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago. So I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to your comments in the comments section. I look forward to your emails and your feedback. My book, Chasing Shade, Living with Developmental Trauma, is available at Balboa Press, but it's also available at any online retailer. And if you do get a copy of that and read it, I look forward to comments from you, inquiries about that. If you find any typos, please let me know, because I didn't have an editor. And certainly any comments about the art. There's a lot of artwork in there. There are two versions. There is a paperback, softback version, high gloss, and there is an electronic version, and the art is in both versions of that. You don't miss out on the artwork just because you're getting an electronic version of that. So I hope that you are well and staying healthy and taking care of yourself as much as you can. Please keep our world in your mind and heart as much as is available to you. Take good care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you again soon here on Somatic Wisdom and the Ethereal Soul. Take care.